People ignore design that ignores people, stated Frankie Mero, Brooklyn-based brand and product designer some time ago. The words design and design thinking have joined the list of buzzwords of the decade, being thrown around in summits, workshops, conferences, and even in the office's small break room. It is to reckon, though, that not everyone using these terms fully understands what they stand for. Today's TechTalk is a sort of 101 introductory episode to revisit and discern what design and design thinking are, and in addition, it gives us room to introduce business design and how important it is for the future of the consulting business. And who is with us today? Sherif Labib, Senior Business Manager at PwC Luxembourg. Take a seat, grab a nice cup of coffee, and let's kick this one off. This is TechTalk. So welcome to a new episode of TechTalk. This is season 5 and the episode, Carla. Welcome, Carla, by the way.
Thank you, Luis. So this is episode 7. Is that right?
I think so. You know, we are so busy these days and with the upcoming cybersecurity days and podcasts upcoming too. And so
yes,
I am a bit,
stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
But anyway, the title of this podcast is The One on Business Design. And who is our guest today?
Sherif Labib. And Sherif Labib, in fact, works in our advisory services or advisory practice. And he is a senior business designer. Now, what the heck is business design, Carla?
That's our first question. But first of all, welcome, Sherif.
Welcome, Sherif.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks a lot for being here. And we know, someone told us that actually we are recording this episode with some weeks in advance because someone told us you will go to the Middle East. Mm-hmm. So have fun there. What are you going to do there? Business design?
Well, yeah, actually a part of what I'll do there is part of business design.
Oh,
is the
nice.
focus of redesigning and innovating processes with a specific client there.
That sounds very nice.
It's
Yes.
cool.
To be honest, very nice. So
Sounds better than doing it.
Yes, and probably the weather will be way better in winter than here.
Absolutely. I
You're
need
lucky.
the sun. I need
So you
to
will
get back
spend
to
the last week of the year there. You will be
probably. No, chances are I'll be back in January.
there. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Well, let's kick this off, Carla, and Can I start? Yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
You know, by the way, there is an article on PwC's blog about this, and where we actually wonder the same first question: what is design after all? Because people think design is, coming up with nice things.
Yes.
But what is designing?
I mean, I hope you all got the chance to actually go read the article, and if did not, I would really recommend you do. I'll try as much as I can not to recap what was written in the article, but I will do recap this part because I think it's very important to mention. So design is not about making pretty things, and it's not about creating form. It's a thought process, and this is where design thinking as a concept comes from. So it is a thought process that tends to focus on solving problems. And if you really think about it, it's something that you practice on a daily basis, on an individual level. I mean,
Exactly.
we all have our own problems. We all want to deal with them, and we all have pain points that we want to relieve. And then we think of ways to solve this.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the difference between doing it on a personal level and as a practice is your ability to, increase the capacity of dealing with the problems on a more larger scale, so a market scale, but also from an objective perspective, that it's not about you, it's about the market, it's about the users.
Mm-hmm.
But also it's not about providing a very surface solution. It's about identifying the actual core problem that is being faced and the core pains and trying to find a solution that solves. So instead of giving painkillers, you're removing the disease or the cancer itself from the issue itself. And this is, I think, what differentiates a good designer or a person that conducts design from a not so great one.
I can't help it, Sherif, but I need to ask you this question. So it means that if whatever I come up with solves a problem, but is yet ugly, is design.
Well, it's okay.
Visually ugly.
A matter of aesthetics, from looking at it from ugly or pretty, is a matter of perspective.
Yes, that's
and
right.
part of
That's true.
and part of the aesthetics is function, and part of the function is being relative to the person you're addressing the product or the solution for. So having it pretty, it must be from the perspective of the end user and not from your own perspective. So what some group or target audience might perceive as aesthetically pleasing might not be perceived the same way by others. So in that case, it's about function, not about... And the other part of aesthetics, and I would say that we had like all these courses about product design semantics, it's about how the product itself communicates its function. So a good form is one that tells you how to use it the moment you see it. So whether it's a service, whether it's a physical product, whether it's a digital tool, or a business model. So the moment you understand from seeing how it works is how it functions, this is good aesthetics, this is good form.
Pretty strong statement. So Carla, don't say that again. You know the problem, Sherif? When Carla now comes with an infographic and I start criticizing the infographic, she will tell me, but functionally this works, and my audience...
So thank you, Sherif.
No, it's amazing.
He solves so many problems.
you know that the questions we always got asked in design school is why? And if by any reason we give an answer of because I like it, even if it's functional, they trash it. So the fact that you're backing it up with actual data, yeah, you're right.
Here you go.
I think next time we just cross in the atrium, I won't tell you hello. Carlita, can you go?
You are so nice, Luis.
No, I'm just very tired today. Can you go with the second, please?
Yes. So business is design, and that's a bold statement that we actually included in the blog article that you mentioned. So why is design an integral part of a successful business? Integral. I have difficulties with
integral part.
Integral part. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
I actually don't think it's a bold statement. I think it's more of a fact that we've been living and using on every day in business. It's just that we're finally reframing it or giving it the credit it deserves.
Exactly. I think
because if you look at it, every business solution or every business we're conducting is a product that we're developing, whether it's a service, whether it's a tool, whether it's a physical product, a business model. And the purpose or the intention is to create value and relieve pain for the end user, which at the end of the day is usually a human being. So business is done by humans for humans. And this is what design is all about, as mentioned before. It's about identifying and relieving pain or providing like solutions to give value, but also capture value doing so. And this is more or less business. It's just that design as an approach to create and capture this value has become more the trend that we should focus on based on the market circumstances at the moment.
Yes, what I feel is that now it's purposely done. Now it's there is the intention behind to produce things that are usable, that are... Well, before, of course, it's like you said, before we tried to solve a problem, so it meant we had to design. Mm-hmm. But because of competition nowadays, and the plethora of the offers we have, and also having people more and more exigent, I think the design part has taken a step further.
Yeah, that's exactly what I meant by that. This approach is the one that is quite relevant at the moment, because solutions are available, and it's not like there's only one person providing or one company providing a service or solution. There's much bigger variety and much bigger options right now, and to stand out, the decision now is much stronger on a consumer side. So
we have the power.
Yeah,
as consumers.
Yes, as consumers.
There's a shift. Okay.
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
The products that will sell more, or the solution or services that will sell more, are the ones that the end users can relate to more. And this is why design became more important, because again, it's a conversation. Design does focus about understanding more. The more you understand, the more you can relate. And I think this was what I wanted to mention earlier as well, that when you solve the core issue where design is the focus of, its focus is to understand and uncover the core problem, this is where innovation is really born. Whether it's radical or incremental.
Incremental, yes.
It's still like for example, sometimes we look at a simple solution we see online and we just relate to it, and we're like, oh, how did I not think of this before? Wow, this is exactly what I need. This is because it did understand specifically you as a user what you needed, and it's an incremental innovation, but it's something that stood out.
There is something that always I recall very frequently when it comes to these matters, and several times, I've read, Apple created the need of for the iPhone, or Apple created the need for a tablet. But then I also read somewhere, I don't remember, saying exactly the opposite. They didn't create anything. They just read a need, maybe in a subtle way that people didn't know how to express, And what do you think about that?
I think that the needs are there, that consumers don't necessarily know how to define their need, or to define a solution to their need. And that's why you don't ask them on what they want. You need to uncover what they need. Like Ford, I think, was the one that said that if I asked people what they needed, they would ask for faster horses.
Exactly.
But he was able to translate the need into a product that serves the need. So at the end of the day, what Ford did was not a market push. It was a pull. He just managed to pull out of them what they need and frame it into a solution or an innovation, a design that would actually feed to it, Not like we might perceive it as a push because he created a new product and he pushed it into the market. No, he just understood what they needed and he framed it better. And that's what made them back then with Ford the good designers.
Exactly. I think we are good as consumers to express our problems, and then it's up to people like Ford to come up with solutions.
Exactly. And it's part of design also, and I think this is where design merges a bit with strategy as well, is understanding the foresight of the industries, looking into the future, and being able to predict human behavior, predict what they would potentially like, and be ready to intercept that already. So it is part of design to keep it in mind what would potentially happen.
I think
so that requires a lot of innovation, I think, as well.
I think that the most recent example and successful, at least until now, is a Tesla. Before, I remember friends saying, "Okay, an electric car," but all of them look like robots. They're ugly and shaped.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say Teslas are pretty.
I just love them. You don't love
really?
Mama
no,
mia. I found them. I just found such an elegant lines. But regardless of the shape and the taste, that you prefer or not, I think the other day someone was saying, "Yeah, but no, now Tesla will have more competitors." Yes, but there will always be before Tesla and after Tesla. Even if Tesla disappears one day, they managed to change the car game, and that is outstandingly, incredibly good.
That's true.
What do you think?
I agree. I mean, it could have started off earlier than it should, but again, that gave them the pioneer position in being ready when that actually matters. And
that is not to say that I like Elon Musk. That is another discussion with a glass of wine.
I mean, he is very inspiring.
Okay, well, yes, maybe polemic as well, but
True.
So let's jump to the next question.
Do you want to ask this one?
Yes, well, it's really it's very simple. It's the story behind the field, but the story behind business design and business designers.
Well, business design, again, it is something that is not new. It is something that's been existing for years. It just took different frames, different names, maybe even. But the pity is, for many decades, design has been framed or boxed into certain industries and fields. And I'm actually surprised that people did not perceive that it is still design. It is still business, whether they put it in the architecture field or product design field. And it is part of these forms of businesses, but they boxed it there, and they believe that this is just where design as an element should be. But as a thought process, it has existed with always the future thinking firms, and for example, IDEO, with the ones leading the creating the mouse for Apple as the beginning, that shifted the whole business for Apple, for example. But I think it started again, as you notice, it has become a big buzzword recently. People started recognizing how design thinking has become an integral part of all businesses and not the ones that they've been boxed into. But what was I going to say? I lost my train of thought.
It's a story.
Yeah. I'll get there.
No worries. No
Yeah,
worries.
it's okay.
We can cut this part, but actually it's very interesting, the discussion.
Yes.
But yeah, no, it has become a trend, and people have been realizing or talking that design is like this decade moving from code becoming the decade of design, and then people started recognizing its role, its importance in the industry, and then we started using it as a buzzword, but now it was time to actually integrate and implement. So business design as a role has been born when it became a merge between the design thinking methodologies and the business practices and the business tools and approaches. And I believe that was led by the design community when they felt like it is time to merge or empower ourselves or educate ourselves about the business context so we can bring value and more than, well, first of all, to not rely and avoid conflict with strategy profiles, but also to be able to empower our own designs from all the dimensions necessary. And I think that is a question that also comes to mind when is business design like UX design, or is it an adapted form of UX design, or is it a merge of strategy and UX designers, or what is it? So I think I just want to start this part by clearing the definition of product design and product development and UX design. So UX design is an integral part, but is part of the product design process. It's not the product design process. So as product designers or as product developers, we tend to focus on everything from the research and understanding up until to actual market launch and sales and communication to the end user and audience and iterations and redevelopment.
Yes.
Exactly, which if you look at it, it's the whole process from a business perspective. Every product we dealt with as product designers is a business product. And if you notice that the triangle of the three main important factors of design thinking is technical feasibility, economic viability, and market desirability, with the user in the center. So every time we were developing a design, we had to look at it from each and every point and dimension to be able to give a design that can generate profit, that does relate to people, and is technically possible to produce. And UX is an integral part of this process, but it's not the process. So I would put it more of on a level of it's a merge between product design and strategists, for example, or managing consultants, because at this point, a big part of us during the product development process is that we relied on business profiles to support in the different dimensions of the product. But by time we felt that why not merge our knowledge and become and empower ourselves to be able to conduct this by ourselves. And I personally did that without the intention or knowledge of business design as a role. My background is in product development and product design. And then after a couple of years experience in a startup, I decided to do my master in a business related degree. And there I started feeling that it is essential that we merge both, because it does empower me. It does give me a good position when it comes to providing solutions or developing products.
So it makes total sense to have this merge.
But do we really need someone who has both, or you can have both, two people with different backgrounds working together, or both work?
Both work,
Okay.
both work. But I mean, on that level, and I think it's something we might discuss later on, is that at some point I feel like this thought process should be adopted by all profiles, because at the end of the day, it is a thought process. It's an approach that you adopt and work by.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't see it as competition with management consulting. I see it as eventually as just like the designer community took the step towards developing their own business empathy and their own business confidence. It should also be a step from the management consulting side, where they develop their design thinking methodologies and approaches, and then it becomes more of a day-to-day practice for everyone.
I have an out of the blue question. One of those.
One of those.
Here we
but
go. Here we go. No, but it is this. So I thought maybe business design can come second place. What I mean by this is you may have a crazy idea to create something out of the I don't know. I'm again recalling Tesla, but not the typical Tesla, but Elon Musk's idea of putting a chip on your neck and coming up with some sort of artificial intelligence within the human being. He likely, I mean, I bet, or maybe he knows, what business can he run out of that? Or maybe he doesn't. He just wants to know how it works. And maybe the business design process comes after. I'm
not sure if I.
My thing.
You need an idea first.
Yes,
is that what
but do you
mean?
think
And then
he already has? So this putting a chip in your wherever he wants to. He has already the idea of the business he wants to run out of this,
without knowing how to,
without knowing if it will really actually work.
So
because we don't know. The next question, Karen.
Well, the next question, I think Sherif answered it, which is whether business design has been there or now it's just packed with a fancy different name. But I don't know if you want to add anything to that. All good?
No,
so
I think it's
let's
been more
go
or
to
less,
the next
Yeah,
one.
I think he addressed already.
Yeah.
Yes, I think so too.
Because sometimes we have these fancy names for things that we already know.
So you mentioned something interesting, which is everyone could have this. What was the expression you used? Well, it's not mindset, but to have this approach. No, it was
thought process.
Thought process, exactly. So is this something that can be studied somewhere? How can we develop such process?
It is something that can be studied, but it's more important to, once you know it, it's more important to practice it than just study it. Because knowing, how do I frame it? The formula or the recipe for good design and good product development and success has existed for years. Even Steve Jobs talked about it since 1997. All the Ford from even before. It's just that it's not about knowing it as much as it's about knowing how to practice it. So yes, you can study it. Yes, there are online courses. I mentor myself on an online course for designers to empower them with the business knowledge to become business designers. But at the end of the day, it's knowing it is one thing and knowing how to practice it and use it is the other. And this is usually where the issue is. It's like if you know the context, it's best when it's used, not when it's just in your mind. So I don't know if you get where I'm going, but
I'm not sure I follow. Do you, Luis?
That part, the last part.
No, it's just a matter of knowing how to implement it, because studying it is knowing it, and it's always been there. And the formula is out there, and there are a million courses that you can do on design thinking, and it's a matter of knowing how to implement it and practice. So rather than studying out, I would say that we need to give the space and opportunity for people to practice it, to put it into actual practice in our projects, in the firms, with our clients, because only then, because trust me, knowing it as an idea, it is much easier than putting it into business, and not whether it's dealing with the client side or dealing with other profiles within the team, being able to push for this methodology or approach and trying to frame it for every different context and every different project, because it takes a different form with every project, is difficult. Yes. So you need to practice it more than study it. That's what I want to say.
And probably something we should more and more embed in us, in the way we do.
Yes.
It's from the inception of whatever we do. It's part of it.
Exactly.
It will kind of flow naturally.
Exactly, because by practice, it would become a mindset. It wouldn't be a list of things that I need to do or a process. It will become naturally, as you mentioned, being integrated into the way I approach the problem and try to find a solution.
Okay, that's clear.
Now imagine Carla is a consultant, okay, and you, Sherif, you join XYZ firm, and Carla should Carla be jealous of? Should
I be afraid?
It's afraid of losing her job because she becomes, I wouldn't say useless, but less and less. Just a way to say it, very radical way. But Because you are actually replacing. No,
It's not a matter of replacing. I think I touched on that early on. It's a matter of coexisting and knowing that it is essential to think from both perspectives. Yes, the hardcore optimization and that approach still should exist because it is important, but we also need to tackle from an innovation side as well, because this is where we can capture future value as well. So it's a matter of coexisting. It's not a matter of competition. It's a matter of creating value together, for whether we're a consulting firm or whether we're a company developing products or whatever. At the end of the day, they're all products. We need to co-create together to bring value to everyone from all perspectives. After all, the knowledge and the business knowledge and experience of management consultants is very, very big and very important. So,
Yes.
so it's just a matter of coexistence and merging, but accepting that merge in order to actually co-create value.
Okay.
And this is where maybe the still
The clash
requires
may-
development and will probably be developed by time, but it's essential that it does get developed.
So I would be okay.
Yeah.
You will be okay. Okay. You will be okay. So please, Carla, can you address? Can you ask the question? What is the next one? Is the number 7? Am I right?
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about the future. Well, we talked about the future as well. Do you think that design in general and business design by default is to gain even more ground in business future, or will it be more costly? Will it be beneficial?
Yes. The answer is yes. And again, I will repeat, design has always been part of business. It's just taking a bit of a bigger role, and it's also becoming more exposed as what it is, and getting this kind of credit that it deserves. But yes, I do believe that design will become part of the even bigger part of the future, because already design can be used now to help companies understand the future of their own businesses. So it is becoming more and more
becoming a
integral.
thing.
So it is becoming part of it. It cannot be disconnected. And in terms of will it be more costly, if you can reframe the question again.
I think it is because, when you design or co-create or you involve stakeholders in any creation process, it takes time. So there is this iteration thing that happens, and we tend to believe that because it takes longer, it will require more resources.
Okay, yeah, I get your point. I would argue against that for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, no,
Thank you.
for sure. I mean, I actually believe that the design process in product or business development is one of the most efficient ways to do business while protecting investments, meaning that a big part especially two different parts of the process. The first part is the understanding and observation part, which I understand people do criticize at the beginning because it does take the longest usually, and I believe we should emphasize more and give it more importance. But for me is that the more you understand the question, the problem or the question in hand, and the more you understand who you are addressing and who your audiences are, the less you're going to have to deal with trial and error later on. So you wouldn't need to be trying and then, no, this doesn't work, and then try again, and no, this doesn't work. Yeah, you will spend more time at the beginning, but that makes the solution, like figuring it out, much, much faster and more relevant, which would require iterations, but simpler iterations because you were on point with understanding it at the beginning. So it does save a lot of time later on, but also, time is money, but also saves a lot of potential wrong investments in areas that don't make sense, because now we know that we should not approach them. And the second part is when it comes to the prototyping and testing phase, we do a lot of rapid prototyping. Rapid prototyping is a cheaper version of proof of concepts to test prior to finalizing and rolling out. And the purpose there is that even though we did understand the problem well, we still want to make sure that before we put any full-on investments, that we are checking and testing the market, that it does make sense that we go with this direction or a merge of either. And in that case, at least when we start the final investment in the actual product before rolling out, we are, 95 to 99% sure that this is relevant, because we've tested, we've iterated, we've researched, we've understood with the minimal cost possible. So even though it might be perceived that it takes longer or we're spending more time on research and observation, but trust me, this is for the sake of saving time and money.
Mm-hmm. But, the old-fashioned R&D department, remember, back at the 80s, 70s maybe? They were
I wouldn't remember.
Yeah, probably neither. But, remember, I'm thinking out loud, but, they were like closed places with all the development. Even before than that, when the TV was launched, I think they produced things on their own without asking anyone, I guess. But then they had major successes, but the major failures as well. So I'm just bringing that up, how the world is changing, and maybe
it is changing for sure. And when there was a phase when the competition was less and where certain technological advancements were higher, that where the market push was relevant. But how do we know that they did not research or understand the people? That's the point. Exactly. I mean, because again, with the situation with Ford, I think he really understood the end users, and that's why he was able to make the claim of knowing what they would have answered if he asked them. That means he did invest time in knowing what the market actually wants in one way or another.
Yeah, I think even back then they did focus groups and this kind of things.
I think so. What I feel is changing is a bit how the co-creation part, and now is more obvious. And sometimes I wonder when you have these very, very, fancy, very advanced companies, launching something new, and you say, but I never heard about that before. And all the people on this participating in these focus groups, and are they paid to shut up? I mean, how do they do it? Because if you invite me to test, I would whatever, I don't know, a new robot, okay? And then it's only the prototyping phase, but I know that company is doing this, so I may be the whistleblower. And it's not a whistleblower case, but whatever. I can go to the media and say, hey, Sherif Labib running this company is developing this product.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of legal things that so you might be like NDAs or whatnot. But also, I mean, at the end of the day, the way you conduct market research is also, you need to be creative about it. You need to know how you ask the questions and whom to ask it for, and in what ways to capture what you need without giving up much or testing parts without giving the whole picture to be able to protect your own ideas.
I asked a silly one, but I had to. Now let's be local and let's focus on Luxembourg. Is this business design something Luxembourg company or Luxembourg-based companies are using already? Are they familiar with it? What do you feel? What do you think?
Yeah, my feeling about Luxembourg has always been in the financial sector, as we know.
Primarily now, yes.
Yeah, but they have been also slowly moving and adapting and opening up to the whole creative industry and the design context. I believe it's still in the phase of adoption of the concept of design, but I do also see that as a big opportunity, because they are open to evolve into that space and to adopt design as part of the core businesses, whether it's the financial sector or industrial sector or whatnot. But I think it's slowly getting there. There are definitely surrounding countries that are slightly more advanced in that field or area. I would name Germany specifically, as they've been a big part of the design community in Europe.
Maybe designing new financial products for ESG, environmental, social, and governance will be the chance for Luxembourg to shine. I mean, we don't know, but it could be. Who knows? So, Carla, you have one more question, I think.
One more?
Or two more.
I don't know. Is this one a question?
Yes. That is a question.
Think so.
Okay, this is your question, so I'll try to translate it to Sherif. On the revenue one.
I'll probably need translation for that one.
Well, I think he kind of addressed that one. That's why the spirit behind this one was I feel, I may be absolutely wrong, but some companies are doing the minimum, to bring something clients can accept or customers can accept, but they still are very much focused on revenue, revenues. And this additional part they should invest for that product or service to be even better is kind of neglected, because they say we are good like that. But that's a feeling. Maybe I am absolutely wrong, but that's a feeling. When I face some public services here and the way they treat you and the way they do it, it's like, dude, you can do it way better. So that's my feeling. But what do you think? It's still a very much revenue focused world. Or
I think by the time they make the connection that investing in design means a higher return on investment, they will realize that actually is the case. I mean, again, and I think going back to the previous statement is that, yes, optimization is an essential part of improving performance, hence reducing costs and increasing profits, but it's also important that we create more, innovate more to capture more value. So design in that sense is a tool that would help create new added value to not just reducing costs, but creating new ways to capture more value in either providing new services, so capturing new needs, or improving the way you interact and engage with your end user, that you capture more of the user because they can relate. So no, it's not one thing versus the other. It is actually one thing adding to the other.
Yes. Okay. But businesses need to see that.
Yes, but I think they are more and more realizing
absolutely.
that you can see that. Okay, we are kind of finally reached the last one, and that's yours, Carla.
Thank you. Well, after answering all the tough questions, I guess they were tough, but let's see about the next one, if it's tough or not. So what took you to focus on these fields?
Well, I don't want to say it was a coincidence.
It could be,
but
life is a
you never know.
Yes, exactly.
But yeah, I think it really relates to my journey throughout what I did and how I started. So I mean, back in Egypt, I started by going to design school. I have 5 years of my bachelor in.
I didn't know you were a designer.
Sorry?
I didn't know that.
Really?
Never. I knew you had designing skills.
No, I went to design school, actually. I studied 5 years in design school with focus on product development and industrial product design.
Okay.
And but ever since I was in design school, majority of people were very product focused and design focused, and I always believed that I was always focused on the bigger dimension of what we're developing and not just the product.
More strategic.
Yeah, exactly. Trying to make sense of what we're doing and why we're doing it for. And from there on, I think it was around that time, towards the end of my study, that I thought, okay, I want to implement what I do in the business world, and that's why I decided to experiment with my own company, which was quite a fun experience. I must say, I learned a lot. I failed a lot, but this is how you learn. Huh?
Yeah, exactly.
That's true.
Mostly learned what not to do.
But that's a very good, apprentissage.
Yeah.
It's a very good
Yes.
And I started then realizing the value of what I can bring to the business context, but I also understood the value of needing to learn the business context to frame what I experienced. And at that point, this is also my journey into Luxembourg. So that's when I came here with focus on a specific program, a master program in relevance to business innovation and entrepreneurship, to give a bit more framework and structure to what I learned, and see how I can merge it with the design background or the product development background. And I was not aware at that time of business design becoming a role. Actually, I started behaving like it or trying to integrate it, and then eventually started seeing it actually become something, and other people working in that direction as well. And this is when I started speaking up about it as well, not just.
By the way, Cara, you know we are alumni of the same master.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yes. And
So you go way back.
Yeah, just different class. I think my class was first.
Yep.
But yeah. Well, thanks a lot. What do you think, Carla? Was it interesting?
Yes, it was very
Was
interesting.
very interesting. No, really interesting. I think the audience, wherever you are have Sherif has definitely shed some light on this new, I would say, new field. It's not really
it's
new,
not
but
new. I think that's one of the things that I learned.
Well, the becoming fancy field. The becoming fancy field.
Okay.
And well, we wish you a very, very nice trip to Middle East, and just 2 months you will be there. Probably and likely warmer than here.
Hopefully.
And well, all the best, and thanks a lot for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So this is Tech Talk.
Technology made simple.
Oh no, it's the third time she forgets the slogan.
But this is your
No.
It is.
Okay, let's do it again, Carla. This is Tech Talk.
Technology made simple over a cup of coffee.
Or whatever you prefer. So,
See?
thanks a lot for joining us, and until the next one. Ciao. That's all for today, folks. We bet you will be advocating for design thinking and business design after listening to this episode. This is Tech Talk, technology made simple over a cup of coffee. Thank you for listening, and until the next episode.